everybody. Welcome back to All About the Game. My name is Dave Majeski. I am here with my co-hosts, Todd Blyleven and Mike Micucci, and we are joined with a very special guest, the Alabama softball pitching coach, Stephanie VanBrakle Prothro. Steph, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, she is so humble. I'm going to make her blush and try to remember all of her accolades. Please cut in when I get it wrong, Steph. But
oh my God.
grew up in Pennsylvania, was sought after by everyone in the college ranks, chose University of Alabama, was three-time, went to the World Series 3 times,
Yeah.
SEC Player of the Year or Pitcher of the Year, broke basically every record they had, played for the USA National Juniors. Was that
the
it?
junior national team my freshman year.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, just for NCAA. Let's see what else. Played in the NPF for a short while.
I just played one summer. Yeah.
Then got into the coaching ranks. She was a D1 head coach before moving to Alabama, and it's been 10 years maybe.
This is my 11th year at
11
Alabama.
years.
So I was 15 years ago when I started coaching.
And Steph is sought after around the country to speak on pitching and everything else. She's the one. She is the authority. She knows everything. She has taught a number of girls so well that they've broken all of her records.
Yeah, when you look at some of those numbers, I mean, they're like, it's like video game type numbers. Yes. But that's not just ability. You know, when I think about stuff like that, like I remember when I first started coaching and getting into it and then kind of watching how my career went, and it goes from like the mechanics, you know, and quickly evolves to the mental game, and then quickly evolves like, you know, at the major league level, as you know, Todd, it's all about the game planning. You know, it's all about like, I mean, the best stuff in the world, but if you don't know how to use it, it doesn't matter. So when you're putting stuff like that together, like, and how you're coaching now and coaching during the game and what you're doing, like, tell me about how you game plan some of your pitchers and a little bit about your background and how you did it, but how you kind of bring it to your staff now.
Yeah, it's well, obviously when I played, there was not a lot of film. So there's not a lot of TV games. You went off of what other people kind of did when you got scouting reports. And when I was in school, like Van would go over that in the bullpen with us, and then we would kind of talk about the weekend. But I thought that like when I pitched, I could remember what the hitters did from their first at bat. Yeah. And I had this like instinct, like, oh, I think she'll swing at this if I can put it over here. And, you know, like, oh, she looks like she's doing this in her swing. And I hit in college. So I always felt like that was a benefit to me on both sides of the ball, pitching and hitting. So and I always felt like if I sucked pitching, I could make it up at the plate and vice versa. So, you know, that was kind of like our game plan there. And then as softball has evolved and gotten more popular, obviously it's on TV all over the place now. So we have film on everybody from every, you know, game from the beginning of the year to the end. So we have great video guys here that dice it up for me and the pitchers. And I kind of change it to whatever the pitcher wants. So if they just want all the hitters, if they want to watch the whole game, maybe they just want to see all righties, then all lefties. I like to watch it the whole game through from the beginning to the end, just the hitter side of it. So from their first at bat to their last, to see what adjustments they're making. But I give the pitchers the option to do it however they want to. They also, one thing I like to do is write a lot and journal. And so the pitchers write me their scouting report on the hitters. They take their own notes and they give them to me as they're watching film, so that I add that into my notes and the plan before the game starts. Yeah. So we watch a lot of film. We talk about an approach and a plan. And sometimes, you know, when you start the game, the plan is one way, and then it's like, oh crap, that is not what's going to work today. And then you have to adjust. And in our conference, it's about who adjusts the quickest and who can make those adjustments. And that's who's going to be successful. So a lot of communication between me, the catcher, and the pitcher during the game about what we're seeing with the hitter. Do we feel like they're doing this? Are they making an adjustment here? Hey, where was that pitch at? I thought she had a good, like, just, I'm from the side, so I don't have the best view. So just a lot of communication and that aspect. I just felt like I did that when I played. So I could come off the field and tell Van, like, she's getting on the plate, and like, I think we can get her in, or, like, hey, this pitch isn't working this well today. So can we that can be the setup pitch for anything else. So I would always I had that relationship with Van to be able to communicate. So I try to have that same relationship with our pitchers, but film obviously is a big part of that game planning. And then I do talk to other coaches, for a scouting report, or, hey, what are your thoughts? To just like to pick other people's brains that I trust in the game to kind of help pull it all together.
Yeah. I think you said a couple of interesting things right away. Like recall is huge. I know from the catching standpoint, recall is number one, just as a catcher, being able to not only recall what the hitters did as they came to the plate, but the exact sequence on how we got them out.
Yeah.
That was really big. In-game adjustments. You talked about having a lot of the stuff that you talked about is exactly what kind of happens at the major league level as well. The pitchers take their notes, they go in, they sit down with the pitching coach sits down with the catchers, and the pitchers, they have their pre-game meeting or whatever. But then, like, you have to be able to use your eyes and make adjustments in the game, and see what's happening, and read hitters and read swings, and have your game plan and, what you're going to do and how to use their stuff to their ability.
Yep.
Steph, I want to hear about the meetings on the mound or the meetings in the pitching circle, because Todd, what you can't find out about Steph, Google her, is this was a fiery, I don't say aggressive, but just very motivated, passionate athlete. And there are multiple pictures of her like doing one of the, we'll say it was in general, but we know it was at the Auburn dugout. She's doing a couple of pumps. So now we all have stories about transferring from a player to a coach, and being a head coach and now being an assistant coach. I know the personalities that you've had, and every one of them's been an All-American, but I can't imagine this Northeastern girl who owns possibly a little bit of salty language.
A lot of salty language.
Going out to the pitching circle, and here's Jackie Traina, who wore her emotions big. Like she was, to me, a little more personality like you, but Alex Osorio, you could possibly run over her with a moped and she's not going to change at all. So tell me about, mentally, how you're getting across your fire to these different personalities in the circle.
Yeah, it's not, each pitcher is their own, kind of like what Dave's talking about. So Jackie was super, she hated to lose, and she hated to lose. But her personality was very, like, in the bullpen, we would be sitting there and she'd be like, oh, look, it's a butterfly. Like before we're playing Florida, like in the SEC championship, I'm sitting there thinking like, oh my God, like we got to do that, and she's like, oh, there's a butterfly, like just all over the place. And it just makes me laugh. So it was good for me too, because it's like, chill out, Steph, like just, it's going to be fine. She's obviously not as stressed as you about it. So I really try to check my energy, because sometimes my just demeanor about like, we got to go, we got to do this, we got to do this, we got to do that. I can look past some of that sometimes, but like Lex, she never gave any emotion. So how I talk to her would be a little bit different, and how I go out there and talk to like Sydney Littlejohn. Sid could not focus. So I'd go out there and be like, you need to think about this, and this, and we're going to do this, like whatever that is, like, what's the pitch thought? How are we executing it? How we found it. With Lex, it was more of like, let's go. Like, I want you to take a deep breath. I don't want, because she was super internally motivated. She just never showed it on her face. And I think that's a great thing to have as a pitcher. Because when the shit would hit the fan, it'd be the same look. And when things are going great, it's the same look. And so as a hitter, you never know if she's like ever in her feelings or if she's getting rattled, because she had the same look the whole time. And then, so Montana is like the closest thing to me as personality wise, as far as like, I hate losing. I want to beat everybody, and we're going to do whatever it takes to make that happen. So Montana outworks everybody, which is the coolest thing in the world, because she's also one of the best players, so she like outworks everybody, and she's one of the best players, like, and she's a great person. So it's just like, I mean, just this great embodiment of all those things. And she will work so much that you have to tell her to, hey, we can't be overthrowing. Like her freshman year, she came in, she thought she needed to be throwing this, and this. And I said, we can't do that, because in season, you're gonna get hurt, because the intensity of what we're doing in season is so much more than what you've ever experienced before you came here. You cannot overthrow before they get there. We have to train smarter, like we have to be specific about what we're working on.
Really volume of what they're doing.
Yes. And she thought she needed to go out there and throw 500 pitches. I'm like, no, we need to throw 150 quality pitches. Yeah. And we're working towards something versus we're just out there throwing, because that's going to catch up with you, which it did. But she by far is, and she stands next to me in the dugout. And so she is like on my same wavelength. Like, we think the same, which is huge. I always try to work on, that's one reason why I have the pitchers write stuff, is because I want them to think like about how we're attacking the hitter and how I'm thinking about it from my standpoint too. Like, we're watching this film, we're seeing it in the game, and then how can we attack the hitter with your best stuff? How can we set up your best pitch that day? But it's definitely interesting. I try to watch my energy a lot, because if I look nervous or if I look a certain way, I feel like that comes off on them. So I try to talk about a lot of things like our preparation. We do things in the fall and in the spring that I feel like but not a lot of other people do. And then our game planning, and then our adjustments in the game, and the communication part of it. And I feel like that's what helps me communicate to them all game. So when I go out to the mound, sometimes I go out there and say, like, this last weekend, I went out there to Montana. She hit somebody and she was throwing a lot of pitches. And I said, stop walking them. Stop, like, go at, like, what are we doing today? Like, I was frustrated with her and she was frustrated. So we just kind of frustrated together. We were just frustrated together, but I was like, stop, go at them. Like, one pitch at a time. Stop trying to overthrow and trust your stuff. I have those kind of talks. And then sometimes it's out there about like, hey, I think she looks like this in the box right now. What are you seeing? What should the next 3 pitches be that we're going to throw her? I talked to them about that during the game, in the middle of the game, because I have a feel for what I think, but ultimately they have the best view, and I don't want to throw something and then they're not 100% bought in with it, because then we're not going to get a good result, so I'd rather go out there and say, hey, what do you want to throw right here? Oh, well, I think she's doing this. Now ask the catcher, what do you think? Oh, I think that too, whatever. All right, let's do it. This is what we're doing. And we do what they, sometimes it's what they want. Sometimes I'm thinking that, I just don't say it. Yeah. I'm thinking the same thing, and they said it for me. And sometimes it's not, maybe I was thinking something different, but she doesn't feel comfortable with that. So a lot of the times it's that conversation versus like, hey, let's go get your head out of your butt. I mean, as the assistant coach, my role is different than if I was the head coach. I'd probably be getting in their ass a little bit more like that. But Murph does that for me. So then I go out and talk about game planning and what we can do in that moment.
Tell you what, Todd, we're getting the Northeast. Yeah, Steph, I'm originally from the Northeast. I grew up in New Jersey my whole life. Moved down to Texas about 11 years ago. But we got the hands going. We got the starting to fly. I mean, it's really I like it.
Yeah. Hey, so listening to you talk, you really, you look back at conversations I know that I've had personally with like a Mike Condrea, a Sue Inquest, a Lisa Fernandez, and then in the baseball world, like a Marcel Latchman, a Howie Gershberg, which were great pitching coaches, probably some of the best of all time. And that mentality of routine and how deep you go into learning the pitcher's character, the routines in between starts. You look at like Shohei Ohtani right now, probably named one of the best players, at least right now, of all time, right? He did stuff that Babe Ruth didn't do, back in the day. And his routine, the Albert Pujols is in baseball, the routine is so important in understanding how they're going to go out and produce and be successful. They're not just going and throwing 500 pitches in a bullpen. They're going out, and it's a lot of mental talk, like you're explaining how you work with your pitchers and that different mindset, when to turn them up, when to kick them in the butt a little bit, like you did the other day, opposed to the strategic conversation. How do you, when you've got a freshman coming in, probably scared, wanting to prove a lot, like yourself when you were playing, how do you kind of start to mold that mentality on knowing, okay, I've produced thoroughbreds, I've produced winners, I know this person has this inside. What's that kind of that plan over the course of time that you try to instill in these players, whether it's this is how you're going to throw your bullpen, you're going to throw 2 fastballs middle, like, do you have a set routine, like a template that you go to?
Yeah, we do specific. So in the fall, when they first get here, Michelle, me and the strength coach work really close. We're really good friends. She was obviously my strength coach my last year here, and she's been here since. So we have a good relationship. So before they step foot on campus, I will talk to her about any of the freshmen that are coming in. Like, hey, I think that they're weak here. This is what they look like pitching. Like Salt, her left side doesn't fire off very well, so her stride doesn't get up. Her left leg doesn't get up very high. I said, so, I'd like to work, like, you assess her and you tell me what you think, and we'll come back and meet about how we can build a plan for her. But in general, overall, we do a heavy ball, light ball workout in the fall, and I match that with circuits, which I think are mentally challenging for the pitcher. So it's physically exhausting them, and then they have to pitch in between. So we are hitting the brink of, oh, I can't do it, but yet I can still do it kind of mentality. And I'm going to push through this. And we do it as a staff. So we do it all together because I want them to all feel like they are a team, because in our sport with girls, sometimes jealousy can get in there, or you're trying to think that maybe you're not as valuable as the next pitcher, which is not true, because we need a staff nowadays to be able to be successful. So we need all 4 of them to be great, not just 2. And so we do it together. And at the end, high fives, and, we call ourselves the BAPS, which is badass pitching staff. For a reason, I want them to think like we're it, and I'm better than you always. And even on my worst day, I'm going to be better than you. So even when I'm struggling in a pitching circuit, I'm still going to beat the hitter. I'm going to go back to that. Remember that I outworked the hitter in the fall. I was doing stuff that nobody else is doing in the fall. And so we do that. And then in the bullpen, I have a specific way I want them to warm up. So we spin, close half, whatever. I do my drills. They get to keep a few of their drills. I do a few of mine. And then I attack what I think is going to be successful, or maybe what their best stuff is. And sometimes they think that their best pitch is, drop, but really it's curve, and so I let them have that for a little bit. Like, I let them feel like, the drop is it. And then in the games and scrimmages, I take time afterwards to talk about, so what pitch was working the best? Oh, my curve was really working. I was getting lots of swings and miss. Okay, that's good. That's what we want. Well, how'd you feel about the drop? Well, it wasn't working that well today. I feel like I'm trying to push it still, or, it doesn't seem to be getting those swing and misses. Okay. So like, they're kind of answering it for me. Like, okay, you see what our best stuff is moving forward. I'm going to make you, and it's my job to make you better in the avenues that you're not doing well in. So pitches that you don't, or have not developed as well, it's my job to make you better in that. And the pitchers do a great job of talking to each other in bullpen. So I let them talk shop all the time about like, hey, how do you throw this? And how do you do this? And what finger are you feeling the pressure off of on that? And so they do a good job of that. But we have that whole routine in the fall, and we do like competitions in November. So once a week, we'll do some type of competition in November during individuals with the staff. So we play like tic-tac-toe and whatever, but there's a prize at the end of it. They get a day off of running in the spring. You know, whoever wins, comes out winning the most, gets a day off. So it kind of like makes them compete with each other, but they're still pushing each other to be better. And you know, I think a lot of learning with like freshmen comes whenever we hit the rubber in the spring, and they have like one, you know, bad outing, and maybe it's not even that bad. Maybe it's just nothing was really working well. I was getting hit a little bit harder than I wanted to, and they have to make a decision. And we talk about that, you know, like it will, you know, this is what we're going to have to do to get to where you want to be. And I try to ask the pitchers throughout the year, like, give me some goals for the spring. Like give me some goals for preseason. Like, what are you looking for? Like, I want to get ahead of all the batters, or I want to go get the leadoff out, like stuff we can control, because obviously we cannot control balls and strikes. We cannot control if, you know, we're going to give up a home run or not. We can control quality pitches. We can control our thought process. We can control our attitude. We can control our work ethic. So I try to preach from the jump that we have to outwork everybody. And so on a lot of times pitchers can be like prima donnas, and I don't do that. I'm a pitcher, you know.
No.
Well, look, I mean, not saying that you're one or I'm one, I'm just saying. So I try to talk a lot about the pitchers have to be the hardest working people on the team, and the team has to see them doing that. I really believe in that. Like, we have to work the hardest, and the team has to see you doing it so that they are bought in to what you're doing on the mound. So when you have a bad day, they have your back. You know, if you're not doing stuff, or you're cutting corners in pitching, and the pitchers and the hitters and the fielders are seeing that, they're like, you know, like, she's just a bunch of drama, you know, she's just whatever. But if you're out there working, it kind of has no excuse for anybody else not to work, you know, and we're the only people that can control the game. We have the ball every single time. We control the tempo. Everybody is looking at the pitcher and the catcher. So the battery is important they need to work harder than everybody else. I really, really believe in that. So I preach that from the beginning, and Michelle helps me facilitate that with the weight room and our expectation there. They like, obviously we cannot require them to do things out of hours, whatever, but they know there's an expectation where if they need to go in and do something extra, you know, it's going to benefit their pitching, then they need to set up a time with Michelle, you know, and I don't say a word about it. It's just an expectation of the bullpen. It's just a standard now. So Montana knows what it takes, and she knows what I expect. So then she facilitates that to the other freshman bullpen. So it's easier when you have older pitchers to be able that they know the ropes, they understand you, and then they can help bring those freshmen along. So I talk to them, and then Montana, you know, or Lexi will take them to the side and talk to them also about, you know, in-game planning or whatever, this is what you need to do, or yada, yada, yada. And so it takes some of the conversation out of my mouth and it puts it in theirs. And sometimes they listen to their peers a little bit better than they listen to me. So.
And then they go through 19 strikeouts in one game and break your record. So
yes, I love that. That's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to break my stuff.
Steph, I want to ask you a question about recruiting, because I know you can't give a specific name or anything like that. We don't want to break an NCAA rule, but with all our podcasts, we touch on consistency and just the mental aspects. So we try to talk to a number of different audiences. You've told us such great stories about your pitchers you're working with, and the college girls, and the mentality, and how to deal with different brains and different personalities. But what about when you go to the fields recruiting, looking for the next kid, the next Alabama star, or maybe you're working a camp? Yeah, it's a little different than baseball. Softball, you show up, you might be at a park that has 15 fields, and there's 15 games going on, which means there's also these teams warming up, and you get a chance to see I don't know, 120 teams in one weekend, in one day almost. So could you tell us and teach us, positive and negative, what really catches your eye, or maybe what gets somebody crossed off the list? Just the intangible stuff that maybe, all of us dads here you're talking to, we've tried to instill in our kids, but if it comes from the all-star coach, maybe people will listen a little bit.
Well, it's recruiting in softball is wild, and there's a lot to see in a little bit of time. So like, it's sometimes overwhelming. And I'll admit that even now, even all my years, I still get a little overwhelmed at like the big tournaments, like, oh, I got to go here and I got to go here and I got to see this person. I got to see this person. What I like to see on the mound, from pitchers, especially since that's what I'm over, your body language, your presence on the mound. Obviously, do you have good stuff? Are you getting swings and misses? Sometimes, they have an ugly form and they get swings and misses. Like, can I make that? Can I transfer that over to our conference? Are they going to get those same swing and misses against us? A lot of people are caught on speed a lot of times, but if you make the ball move, like Sydney Littlejohn, she never threw over 61, and she threw 2 perfect games here, and she made the ball move. So, and I also am trying to look and see, like, if we have somebody like a Montana, who's going to complement Montana the best, and who, like, we have somebody like Lexi, who's, top down, off speed, who complements her the best, who complements Jayla. So, and who's going to be with them when they come in. That's a part of it. And then like little intangible stuff that, I try not to wear a lot of Alabama stuff recruiting because I want to hear what the parents say in the stands. And I try to figure, I can sometimes pick out who is the pitcher's dad or mom. And then I'm really keen in on what they're saying, because these student athletes listen a lot to their parents, and their parents have a lot of influence on them. So if dad is screaming at them from the stands and then it all goes to hell on the mound, that's not going to be good for us, because they're always going to hear dad in the stands, even at Alabama, when it's 4,000 people deep and it's loud, they're always going to hear dad, so how is dad or mom affecting performance, and what are they saying, and are they not saying? Sometimes not saying anything is good. Maybe they save it for after. That's great. If I don't hear anything, that's even better. Maybe they're just cheering. Hey, I'm good with that. But it's when they're like screaming, like, throw strikes, get ahead, don't walk that person, blah, blah, blah. Like, hello, she's not trying to not throw strikes. She's not trying to, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's just not constructive, what we're saying. Do they talk about the coach? Are they talking about the other people on the team? I mean, those are all things that people don't realize that coaches listen to. Like, if you're saying that at travel ball, what is going to say that you're not going to say that when they get to college? You probably are going to say that, so those are all things that I try to pay attention to. And then we rely a lot on, obviously, like travel ball coaches or other coaches. When we can't see everybody, like I'll make a phone call to, Marty at Corona Angels and say, like, who is your top pitchers, in your organization? Because the next tournament I'm coming and I'm just watching them, and so we do that also sometimes. Or when they come to camp, which there has been some pitchers that have come to camp saying, like, I really like her, I need to go watch her again. And they've never been on a radar. And, when they come to camp, it's usually about coachability. Can they make an adjustment when I ask them to? And just their overall, like, hey, willingness to learn, like nobody wants to coach somebody that's like, I'm not going to listen to you. Like, well, there has to be some flexibility. You don't have to do everything my way, but we have to meet somewhere in the middle. And you have to be willing to learn and grow. I mean, that's what I try to do as a coach. Is I'm still trying to learn. I'm still trying to grow. I want to learn and pick brains from everybody that's hopefully smarter than me, so that I can be better. So I expect that from anybody that we're recruiting or anybody that's here currently. So, I just think parents have a bigger role and pitchers' parents are a little bit different than, they're just, what I mean? They're just different than everybody else. So you have to really pay attention to what they're saying, because they affect their kids more than they know when they get here. I mean, like even Montana, Lex, Jalen, Saul, they all after the weekend, well, I'll say, how'd it go? How are your parents? They were good. Did you talk about the game? Yeah, we talked about the game. They said this, they said that, like they're still listening to what they're saying. So what they say to them is important. And we have to make sure we're getting quality athletes and quality parents at the same time. And I think that's like one thing that we really do well here at Alabama overall is recruit not only great athletes, but great people also. And that kind of cuts down on all that extra drama in the locker room because we recruit that way.
What a great message. I mean, I remember telling somebody in the facility the other day, Todd, I'm like, this guy's dad's going to kill him, like it's just not helping him, so it's going to hurt him in high school. If he plays beyond that, it's going to hurt him here. It's just going to continue to just hurt him. And I know he thinks he's trying to help, but it's not really helping, And it's funny. I have 2 kids that compete. They're young. My daughter swims and my son is a, lacrosse and football player. And one of the parents said the one time, she said, I never thought you would be so quiet at the game or something like that. And I'm like, well, what would I say to them? They're competing. They know what they need to do as long as they give their best effort. But at the end of the day, we'll get in the car. And when they want to talk about it, we'll talk about it,
Right. And I wish so many people listen to that right there, because it's so, my mom never said anything during the games, but in the car, if she thought I wasn't giving my best effort or if I was not working hard enough, I heard that.
Yep, I heard that too.
I heard that a lot, like you need to work more if you want to, but don't be mad about it. You need to go out there and work more. But that's what I would hear. Yeah. Not the actual during the game. It would always be in the car about my work ethic, or I needed to do X, Y, and Z to perform better.
Yeah.
Yeah. As a major league scout, when, I would always do what you did, Stephanie. I would try not to look like I was a scout. So I would have my backpack and not my radar scout bag. I wouldn't wear any branded, I was with the Rockies and the Angels. I would never wear their logos. I always tried to blend in, be more like a parent or somebody just being a fan watching the game. And I would try not to pull my radar gun out unless it was absolutely necessary, just so I could listen. And it's amazing the stories and the things you hear, whether it's the parents, it's the friends being at high school games, especially talking about the parties and things, and now with social media. But I wanted to ask you, how much of analytics and things do you bring, obviously to your staff at Alabama, but also too in the recruiting cycle? So more on the staff now and what you do in the bullpen setting, with the rep. What are you using and how are you using that to help them develop?
Yeah, we have Rapsodo. I just got the new Insight camera, which is like the super high def slow-mo camera that they have with them. And we have the Diamond Kinetic balls, which, you just toss those up. Those are really easy to use daily. Rapsodo's a little bit more technical. Like you have to, some days it works, some days it doesn't with us. So, and sometimes it's because of our Wi-Fi. So I've been working on trying to get better Wi-Fi on the field so we can use it outside in the bullpen a little bit more, but we use it mostly inside. And one of our video guys, he came from, he worked with the Dodgers for a little bit with doing player development analytics. So he helps me a lot with the Rapsodo and the camera and setting it up, and then being able to talk about what the screen says and how I can help relay it to the pitcher. So I myself am trying to daily learn more about Rapsodo and how I can better incorporate that in. Last year I did use it with Montana. We had like 2 weeks in a row where she kind of got banged up a little bit. We lost to Kentucky, and then we came back in A&M and she was getting lit up. And so I put her on Rapsodo all next week. And I just showed her the screen and I was like, look at this spin and spin efficiency. And this is not good. So we're going to sit here. I'm telling you right now, this ball's not moving. And we have to, I had to show you it because you're not believing me whenever I'm telling you that we cannot blow it by people and be successful. We have to make it move a little bit. So we worked all that week on different pressure points and trying to get her spin efficiency a little bit better. And her break points a little bit better. And then she started to be on the incline after that. But we use the Diamond Kinetic balls a lot, and I like it because they can go back in the Diamond Kinetics app and then they can see their whole bullpen right there. And I can even videotape on the iPad, and then it has like the analytics part of it and the video tagged right with the pitch. So they really like that, just because it's easy and user friendly. Rapsodo is the same, but like I said, sometimes with Rapsodo, we need the Wi-Fi to be better. And I hopefully have it fixed. So we'll see next week when I try it out again, if I have it fixed down there. But I do try to use that. It's not the end all be all for us. It is just a tool, and a tool that we can use to help them see things differently. I really am excited about the slow-mo camera because I use video a lot, even in the bullpen with them. So I really wanted the $7,000 camera, the Edgertronics one, and then COVID happened, so I didn't get it. So this is my next best thing. So I might still want the $7,000 camera. And I just think it's good for them to see, because on my, on my phone, you can see it, but you can't see what finger it's really coming off of. But with the super slow Insight camera, I mean, we've put Montana on it 2 times and you can really see the finger. I mean, it is awesome. So
it really gives you I was able to see that, in Seattle with the Phillies as well. It's just unbelievable how they could just see what finger it comes off of and how that ball spins right away. So
right.
It is a huge asset to have.
Yes.
And I'm sure the camera, the other one camera will be fine too.
Yeah. Oh, I just went down to our baseball office, and, I like to go down there and talk to them every now and then. So I want to know what I talk to the pitching coach, and I'll say, I want to know what you guys are using in your bullpen. And because baseball has, with MLB, there's just a lot of money in baseball. So if Major League has it, college athletics probably has it.
Yeah.
And so softball just isn't there on the professional side to where it trickles down like that. So I try to go down to the baseball and say, okay, what is the next thing y'all are doing? Like, how can I get something similar for our pitchers or our team? So, because they have everything, and, they have the whatever TrackMan and, Flight Scope, whatever it is, they have all that, like all this stuff. So I'm like, what do we need next? But I really would like the in-game data. I think I would love to have, like, we have the Rapsodo stuff, and then being able to have like Flight Scope or TrackMan. The in-game stuff would be awesome. So I've been really trying to push Murph to get Flight Scope. So like, can we get Flight Scope so I can see those numbers in the game? Just to have something to compare to, because it can look one way in the bullpen, and then when we pitch it in the game, it can look completely different.
Yeah.
Just
different
Dave,
energy.
he's probably got it sitting in his pocket.
Look, I know, I told him, I tried last year. I'm gonna keep trying, and I'm gonna try that and a covered bullpen. Because if I get a covered bullpen, I can have TVs up, and I can have cameras set up in the bullpen, and we can just roll the video all day. And that's what I really want. So I really want that. So.
Well, we have a lot of coaches and parents and stuff, and obviously not everybody has the capability of getting a Rapsodo. A Diamond Kinetics is a lot easier to purchase, and I really like what they've done, especially with their ball and their platform. But when you look at, taking the numbers, right? Because I've got a 17 or 18-year-old son now. He's a senior. He's got Diamond Kinetics. He has Blast. We use Pocket Radar. He uses Rapsodo with Mike. Mike works with him on the hitting stuff. But if I were to take Dylan and show him the numbers, yeah, he knows kind of those baselines, like what his top performance pieces are. But when you talk about efficiency, right? And you were touching on it earlier, and you circle back to it a little bit now. Taking those numbers and understanding when I'm throwing a bullpen and I'm throwing it, say with Little John 61, right? My strike to ball ratio and my efficiency is really high. But when I really try to push myself and I lose mechanics, and now I'm throwing 65, which is great because I'm throwing harder, which is the mentality in baseball with, I have to throw as hard as I can. You get guys throwing 95 in high school right now, but they can't hit the broadside of a barn 3 times in a row.
Mm-hmm.
So with you as a pitching coach, taking the velocity piece from baseball, the mentality, and now softball, ball manipulation, strikes versus velocity, what's your mindset there? I mean, obviously you want them to throw hard, but
Yes.
Talk about, I know you're using the analytics, but are you using it more for the efficiency and learning how to control your body and throw strikes? And then what do those metrics mean to you? Or is the goal to just continue to keep bringing the numbers up, but you lose a little bit of the efficiency?
Yeah. So well, I think for Montana, so I'll just use her as an example. She has been trained all of her life to throw hard. I mean, throw it, rip it, and freaking grip it, right? I'm going to throw hard. So when I show her these numbers, if the speed number doesn't look, we're at this, it doesn't say 69 on it, she don't see another number. That's all she sees. So sometimes I have to cover that up, or I'll let her look at that number, but I also try to look at the spin rate and then the spin efficiency, right? And the axis of the ball. So, okay, here is your efficiency, right? My spin rate's 1600, but that's why I throw hard. You know what I'm saying? Like it should be high because I'm throwing hard. So my efficiency though is 40% efficient, right? And then here's the spin axis because of that. But then here's another ball that was 65, and look at the efficiency go up. And now look at the axis on the ball. You know, we have to get this same number to look the same when you want to throw it 69. So what are some ways we can do that? Like, what did this feel like? And then with the camera, I really like the aspect of being able to see it. So, okay, so you saw where maybe your fingers were a little bit more under the ball on that pitch versus where the one where maybe your fingers drop. So what do we need to do? Put more pressure on your index finger? Do we need to feel your thumb less? Do we need to feel like, we have a lot of those kind of conversations, and then throw it and then see what kind of happens. Then like with her off speed, we throw like an off speed drop because it's really hard for her to throw a change up. And the goal is just to try to get her palm behind the ball any way possible. That's the pitch that she throws the most efficient because it's slower and it has time to actually spin. So, you know, she's excited to see that because it spins a lot. And that's the only number that really spins like 90% efficiently. And so, and then sometimes, but she'll still always come back to the speed. Oh, well, that speed's not going to be good enough. I'm like, the ball is moving. You know what I mean? That's what the efficiency is telling you. The ball is moving. You know, if you look at Lex, her efficiency on all of her pitches are in the 90% up. And she throws like true drop, straight over the top spin on everything. So her efficiency is really high and her ball moves a lot. She does now when she throws harder on days when she's throwing maybe a little bit harder, our efficiency is down a little bit. So we talk about that, but sometimes with Lex, it's more of her mechanics, her breakdown. So her stride, her legs are off. So she, you know, we talk a lot about being on a power line. Lex will be off the power line to the left a lot when her efficiency is not that high. So we talk a lot about coming back on that line and using, we use the Velo Pro. I like to use that a lot to help her feel her legs. So those are just like a couple ways. And with the Diamond Kinetics ball, it just gives me that information just a little bit quicker. And they, you know, both are the same. I feel like both are the same. Rapsodo gives you they give you the projected, you know, flight path of the ball, which is cool to see. And I like to see the grid where it shows you, you know, the positive and negative, like what are the two pitches that look the same and how can we make those, you know, the break points. That stuff is fun for them to see because it just, you know, helps me say like this again, reinforces these are the two pitches that we need to be working for you because they're going to look the same to the batter and then they do different things. So those are some ways we use it in camp. I haven't used Rapsodo in camp yet. I would like to get another model to where like when we have camps, maybe we can start putting some of those campers on Rapsodo and with the Diamond Kinetic balls, just to get some information and data from a youth standpoint. But I'm all over YouTube. I mean, I'm on Instagram, all that, trying to figure out how we can implement and use that more. The Rapsodo ladies actually coming down in November to work with us for a week because we got that camera and I really I want to be able to use it outside and the camera settings are a little bit funky. And so we're having trouble figuring out how to set it to where I can actually get a good picture of any of the pictures outside. So we got it set up for inside. So I was like, I need you to come down so we can figure this camera out because I want to be able to put them on it every day if I can, a different picture on it every day so that we can collect all that data and information. And then we can see on good days, this is what looks good. And on bad days, this is what it looks like. But I just try to pick out a few things to focus on instead of the whole, like they get lost, especially like Montana. Lexi will just look at you. We'll just look like, just, you know what I'm saying? That's what she just, well, can you explain, you know? So I try to simplify it as much as I can. And let's just focus on a few things versus like the whole diagram of information that it gives you. And I save the whole diagram for like me and for James to help me like, okay, this is how I can maybe explain this, and maybe we can get this result out of it. Maybe we can get the spin efficiency up here if I talk about different pressure points, or if I talk about where her fingers are at release. It kind of helps me as the coach.
Yeah.
Steph, thank you. Thank you so much for your time. Guys, you now know why I'm such a big fan. I think we might have to have some talks about renaming the show All About VanBrakle, maybe. I was a fan. I tried to recruit her out of high school. It didn't work. As a coach, I tried to beat her. It didn't work. So I marry her best friend. That's the only way I could get a piece of VanBrakle. She's a great mom, if I haven't said that. She's got a cute little boy about to turn 1.
Yeah.
Her husband's such a great guy. Steph, thank you very much for your time. Todd, why don't you send us home?
Yeah, thank you again for being on the show. I'd love to have you back on, especially when we bring other guests on. I'd love to have you, and a baseball pitching coach of your caliber, or somebody that has had experience at that high level, to be able to talk pitching and where the game is going from baseball and softball in terms of, the pitcher, the starting pitcher, the relief pitcher. So love to have you back on if you're interested. But thank you again for being on. And Mike, thanks for joining us. Dave, you guys are studs. And everybody be safe out there. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Stephanie. Thanks, Todd.
Thank you. Roll Tide.
Everybody. Hi, I'm Todd Blyleven, the CEO here at the Scout Hub. We're really excited to be able to offer you this new product called the Athlete Resume. It gives you the opportunity to not only add your player information, highlight videos, game schedule links, analytical metrics, and so much more, but also allows you to validate what you're putting in there in terms of your metrics and add in other information from your other player pages. So if in baseball you have a player page with perfect game or PVR, you can take your top metrics and add those metrics into your athlete resume and validate those metrics by linking back to your PVR or perfect game player page. This gives coaches a full access to your athletic profile. We're super excited to be able to help you showcase your skills, just like if you were to go get a job and you got to provide that resume to your employer. We're providing you the opportunity to provide the athlete resume to those college coaches and your own coaches to just learn more about your game, who you are, and give them the chance to come out and watch you play. The Scout Hub wishes you the very best of success, and we're super excited to be able to offer this product to you to help you succeed.